The building blocks of functional nutrition, your microbiome. I always like to start with Hippocrates. Bad digestion is the root of all evil. Death sits in the bowels. 2,400 years ago, Hippocrates realized these important truths, and science is once again now coming back to an understanding of just how accurate Hippocrates was about this. Did you know you have three brains? These three brains are communicating together at all points in time. Each of the organs has complex neural networks and it's able to store and process information, and each has the capacity for neuroplasticity. This is tremendous. We all kind of assume we have neuroplasticity in our brain. We learn, we change our behaviors, we react to our lives as our lives change, but it's true for the other organs as well. The largest nervous system organ is, of course, your brain. There's 100 billion neurons. Your heart is a neural organ. It has about 40,000 neurons. It is a heart brain. It senses, feels, learns, and remembers. So when people talk about feeling a heartbreak or remembering an incredibly joyful feeling and having an expansion in their chest, that's real. Their heart is remembering an emotional sensation. And your heart will also remember trauma as well. The third brain and the second largest is your gut. It has 100 million neurons. These are actually more than exist in your spinal cord. The gut is now being referred to by scientists as the gut brain, and it's phenomenally important for almost every function of a healthy body. We are inhabited by trillions of microorganisms that live in beneficial coexistence with our body. They are referred to as our microbiota, the microflora, and most recently, it's been called our microbiome. The genes in these bacteria and organisms outnumber our human genes by 150 to 1. I want to say that again. We are talking about way less than 5% of the genetic material in your body is human. And so this genetic information can overwhelm our own genetic information if they don't play together nicely. These are just a few facts that I think are interesting or important. I'm not going to try and cover all of them, but here's a few of them. There's 100 trillion microbes in and on every person that make up our microbiota. And 95% of those 100 trillion are in our gut. This is more microbes than there are stars in the Milky Way. The microbiome is more medically accessible and manipulable than the human genome. This to me is so important to really take a look at. There is so much money and focus on understanding our human genome, copying our human genome, finding the right diet based on your genome, which frankly is a whole nother conversation we could have, when really you could work through the microbiota, your gut, and affect your genome via epigenetics. And that's something I'm going to talk a little bit more about further. Both plant roots and intestines are there to absorb nutrients. Like the roots of a tree, the villi of our gut represent little fibers, and they are covered with hundreds or thousands of little villi. And in the villi live colonies of bacteria. And those colonies of bacteria are absolutely essential for optimum nutrient absorption and composting down our food so that what we eat becomes the nutrients that help us survive. Probiotics is a Greek word which means for life, and it refers to the beneficial microorganisms that support a healthy microbiome. In our gut bacteria, there are two main types. There's the beneficial friendly bacteria, which is the probiotics that we're talking about, And then there's the opportunistic bad guys. All of us, will have somewhere between 4 and 8 pounds of bacteria in our gut at any one time. That's never even a doubt. So the question isn't, do you have bacteria? The question is, are they the beneficial good guys that are supporting your health, supporting the epigenetics of your genome and your genetic functions? Or are they the opportunistic bad guys, which we have to defend against and which can break down our health? Some of the functions of probiotics include they prevent the reproduction of pathogenic microflora, and they have an antagonistic effect on other harmful microorganisms. What this means is that they actually do biochemical warfare. The good guys create a neighborhood. They have a hood, and like a gang, they will protect that hood from invaders, and that benefits us tremendously. They strengthen our immune system, and in fact, our innate immune system that exists within our digestive tract is really dependent on these good bacteria. They improve digestion. They're responsible for intestinal motility, which means your bowel movements. They are the reason that we are able to produce vitamin K, cyanocobalamin, thiamine, folic acid, biotin. Without the right bacteria, even if you're eating a great diet, you may not form or assimilate these absolutely essential vitamins. They help normalize cholesterol levels. They help finish the digestion of carbohydrates and proteins, and they regulate the absorption of minerals, gases, and water. So again, regardless of how well you're eating or how well you hydrate yourself, if you don't have the right probiotic bacteria in your microbiome, you may not be absorbing and assimilating those important nutrients that we need. Probiotics and cancer prevention. Accumulating evidences indicate that some diseases are triggered by abnormalities of the gut microbiota. Several studies have proved the efficacy of probiotics for preventing such diseases, including cancers, infections, allergies, inflammatory bowel diseases, and autoimmune diseases. The gut microbiota is considered to be closely related with the risk of cancer. Thousands of abnormal cells with genetic mutations are generated every day in our body. Our immune surveillance systems play a critical role in clearance of such cells to prevent the development of cancer. This is a statement from Probiotics as Efficient Immunopotentators, Translational Role in Cancer Prevention. The part I really want people to get is that we do develop precancerous and cancerous cells daily. They are actually a byproduct of our metabolism. Our immune system is set up to search for, fix, and or destroy damaged cells. The real issue is that if your gut microbiota isn't functioning or isn't healthy, your immune system is not functioning well or at its peak and potentially not healthy. Let's take a look at other things that your gut affects. If you look at my cursor here, the epithelium, this is the outer wall as it goes up against the rest of your body. The outer wall of the gut is an epithelium. It's actually related to your skin cells. And then inside your gut are all your microbiota. And your microbiota, the chemicals they produce have an effect on your vagus nerve, which affects your your nervous system. They have a dramatic and direct effect on immune cells and molecules, which can affect brain function. And then they also have a very intricate and direct relationship to the production of many brain chemicals, including GABA, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, and then short-chain fatty acids, which are, of course, extremely important in brain health, and acetylcholine, which is extremely important in brain health. Let's take a look at the bacteria that help make these brain chemicals. Bacillus is just a very large genus, and we may have several hundred species of bacillus in a healthy gut, but they help us to form the neuromessengers dopamine and norepinephrine. Bifidobacterium is the family of probiotics that tend to live in your large intestine, and they are actually produce different many different types of brain support chemistry, but one of the big ones is gamma aminobutyric acid, or GABA. Enterococcus helps produce serotonin. Escherichia help produce norepinephrine and serotonin. Lactobacillus, which is the main family of bacteria in your small intestine, and most people know of it as acidophilus, they help produce acetylcholine and GABA. And Streptococcus, which again is a huge family, some of which are very deadly, but also the beneficial ones help produce serotonin. So your gut bacteria have a direct effect on your mood. And in fact, the majority of your brain chemistry for serotonin, up to 95%, is produced in your gut, not in your brain. So if you want to directly increase your serotonin, one of the most efficient ways to do it is to affect your gut bacteria in a positive way. Let's take a look at the importance of prebiotics. A prebiotic is the food that the probiotic preferentially eats or needs. Important prebiotics include the garlic family, asparagus, other members of the cabbage family, algae. Bacteria tend to love algae. And then any green or fibrous fruit or vegetable, in particular soluble fiber. Probiotic bacteria love soluble fiber, and in fact they help us digest soluble fiber and pull that water to it, which helps with our gut motility or our bowel movements. Everything is related to everything else, and so as you look to increase the health of your microbiota, one of the ways you can do that, in addition to making sure you get good probiotics, is to also increase the foods that they love to eat. How do we lose our probiotic protection? Medications, stress, poor food choices, high proteins and refined carbs in particular are very hard for our bacteria. Environmental toxins that we come into contact with in the air, water, and soil can affect our foods, and that affects our gut. And perhaps in America, one of the biggest reasons is a lack of rest. Probiotics need our sleep. They take the time when we're asleep and do a lot of their job, a lot of their work in digestion and making vitamins and other brain chemicals. And if you aren't getting enough deep, restful sleep, your bacteria don't have the time they need to do their job. So especially in the modern world, we are probably mostly at a deficient for our bacteria, and frankly, I think it's a good idea for everybody to find some kind of supplement of a good probiotic, because between the environment, our food, and our lifestyle, we're more than likely needing to increase our probiotic populations. Some of the specific nutrients proven to enhance digestive health. Raw fruit and vegetables, as I said, for their fiber, also for their nutrients and enzymes, which can feed the probiotic bacteria populations. Blue-green and other microalgae, they have very small micronutrients, which are very assimilable to the body, but also very available to your probiotic population. Live fermented foods like kombucha, live culture yogurt, raw cheeses, fresh raw pickled vegetables like raw sauerkraut. All of these not only are live enzymatically, they do contain probiotic bacteria that help us replenish our gut. And then mushrooms, the fungi, are very, very good for your gut, and in particular the beta-glucans in mushrooms, which is a type of soluble fiber that directly interacts with the immune cells in your gut and also supports your probiotic population. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you.